We made it. It's Bishop on Air, back with you. Good morning to those jumping into the chat room. I think that's working this morning. A little bit later on, we'll try that Discord server again. I did watch a tutorial video this morning and set up a staging channel. We'll see if that works. And again, if you want to join that Discord server, get out your phone and scan this QR code. Real simple. It'll take you right there. Some of you are already on Discord. Actually, rather fascinated with how many of you have already taken part in the public Bishop on Air channel. But I do have the possibility here of setting up a staging channel where we can then bring people on who want to sound off on the show. So scan that QR code and we'll do some live testing of that at the tail end. But here we are on a Friday, plenty to tackle. We'll talk about the latest in the gun ban litigation with a hearing set today in the Southern District of Illinois Federal Court. Judge Stephen McGlynn is going to get a status hearing. Hearing from the litigants as to what they're wanting to do. What kind of witnesses, what kind of experts, what kind of discovery are they going to jump into? But also, we'll talk a little bit more about exempt classes. Talked about the film and movie industry being exempt from the gun ban. Well, sports shooting competitions as well are also exempt from the gun ban. So we'll talk about that coming up. But next, let's tackle how to address violence in Chicago. With violent crime up over the past 4 years, and while shootings may have been down and murders may have been down last year, Chicago still tops the nation as, a state in the city that has a lot of gun violence. So that's next here. We'll address that and hear from the leading Democratic elected officials in Chicago yesterday that raised what they say are going to be the solutions. So stay tuned. Violence in Chicago continues to be a problem, with just in the past week, 3 young people being shot outside 2 different schools in just a matter of days. And that's on top of the armed robberies you hear about regularly, and smash and grabs and crash and grabs and gang type of shootings. Obviously, Chicago is hurting from just the level of violence there's been. But how are officials getting a hold of it? Is maybe the governor going to send in the National Guard? Has been speculated by even previous governors for years to deal with the Chicago violence. No, that doesn't seem to be the case. Instead, it looks like it's going to be funding community programs. We'll get to that here with some comments yesterday from leading Democrats up in Chicago. Welcome in, Bishop on Air. I'm Greg Bishop, broadcasting each and every weekday across the spectrum of the internet. You've, of course, got YouTube. Like, subscribe, follow along, hit that notification bell. Also on Rumble, on X, on Facebook, where we stream each and every weekday morning. But let's get into this, because yesterday, of course, we knew that the governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker, and Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson were going to be with others during an assembly to highlight anti-violence initiatives. You had a slew of speakers from Father Flager, who is an advocate for gun control. You had even the Chicago police superintendent there addressing things he says would help stem violence. But you had Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson there as well. And he talked about a plan that he initiated back in December that he gave an interesting name. Here's what the mayor had to say about his plan to address violence in Chicago.
I announced the People's Plan for Community Safety, my administration's commitment to a people, place-based approach to addressing the root causes of harm and violence. One of the 9 pillars in this plan is investing in and expanding CVI in coordination among sectors throughout the city of Chicago, because we know that government alone cannot make Chicago safer. The People's Plan, it seeks to unite the many groups who have been doing the work to reduce violence in our city, and all of those who call Chicago home, to produce a vibrant and a more thriving city. We can do that together. We are committed to working together with community members and community organizations and philanthropy and business and more to unite action to enact solutions. Our challenges with community violence didn't appear overnight, and they won't resolve overnight. But all of us have to dig deep and continue to make sure that every single child has an opportunity to grow up in a thriving neighborhood. Long-term investment, layered investments, we will make sure that communities are safe today and for generations to come. It is a matter of life and death. And to that end, I want to thank Metropolitan Peace Initiative, PSPC, the Civic Committee of the Commercial Club of Chicago, Chicago Cred, for their commitment and investments that will grow and scale up this promising field. We know that success comes from breaking down silos and taking a holistic approach to these very complex problems. But I look forward to working together, to see this room. I'll be very honest and be vulnerable with you. To be in this room, to see so many brothers in this room, so many black men in this room standing up for their community. I don't care what anybody says about Chicago. I know that black men love this city. And the same policies that have created and caused the type of devastation that we've experienced, we are pulling ourselves together to address the root causes of violence, and we're doing it together.
So again, the mayor addressing his people's plan to address violence, and didn't really mention much about cracking down on crime as far as having the states how we address crime in the city. It looks like it's what, having more community support, having more different types of approaches to address young people, getting them jobs. And I just saw that on the live stream, people saying that it froze. And good thing we record this also locally, so if you missed out on a little bit of this, you can watch it when it gets posted as an isolated segment. But again, the broken windows theory doesn't really seem to be in the minds of those who were addressing the assembly yesterday in Chicago. Again, Johnson talking about working with community members and focusing on young people, and I think that a lot of people can agree having more resources go to help out with after school programs is good. But you've got Republicans who, at the State House even, have criticized the criminal justice policies that the elected Democrats herald, like the no cash bail, or like telling police that they can't handle a criminal suspect a certain way, or allowing for anonymous complaints to be filed against police. But you don't see the push from these elected officials to say to the Cook County State's Attorney, Kim Foxx, who's on her way out. She's not running for re-election, but there doesn't seem to be a coordinated effort to tell the state's attorneys to be more judicious in prosecuting crimes. Because again, that broken window theory, if you even let broken windows slide, then you're possibly going to see more nefarious behavior. If you let somebody get away with jumping a turnstile, then you could possibly see them later on down the road become even more of a brazen type of criminal. That's the theory, right? We don't really hear that being addressed here. Governor J.B. Pritzker also addressing the assembly yesterday, talking about working with community partners, talking about this new program, SC2, which is Safer Chicago. It's a group of philanthropists getting together with community groups. $66 million is how much they say they've raised in private funds for their $100 million goal. And those funds include dollars coming from major corporations, including the Pritzker Foundation, the Hyatt Hotel Foundation, and the Crown Family Philanthropies. So Pritzker, a billionaire, giving some of his own, foundation family money to this effort. But the overall spending, how this is going to be spent to address crime, really has not been revealed. So that's not been provided yet. So we'll see just how much that ultimately moves forward. But the governor yesterday at this assembly, he highlighted some things that he says are really going to make a difference when it comes to the safety on the ground of Chicago.
Over the last 3 years, the General Assembly, the Senate President, the Speaker, you heard Justin Slaughter, you heard Robert Peters. I mean, together we have worked to do so many things that I think are making a difference today and will in the future. Let me start with the ban on the sale of assault weapons in Illinois. And we banned ghost guns, and we banned rapid-fire switches. And we ended the sale of high-capacity magazines. We instituted universal background checks on all gun purchasers, and we increased the duration of our red flag laws. But you all know that limiting the implements of violence isn't nearly enough. Until last September, in Chicago and across the state, violent offenders who had enough bail money were immediately set free, while poor people accused of nonviolent crimes would have to sit in jail for months because they didn't have a few hundred or a few $1,000s for bail. That's unfair, that's unjust, so we ended cash bail. And then we enacted the Reimagined Public Safety Act, surging unprecedented levels of investment in violence prevention and interruption, and utilized data to inform where help is most needed. And we increased mental health and substance use treatment to new highs and high levels all across the state of Illinois. Then I established the first ever state Office of Firearm Violence Prevention.
So the governor rattled off a list of things he says are accomplishments in the efforts to curb violent crime, topping that with the gun ban, then the gun violence prevention office he created, even
So
the no cash
16 years
bail
and multiple
that he
failures
also
passed
brought about to essentially bring no cash bail to the entire state of Illinois. And that's just, a handful of months old. How we're actually going to see that, continue to play out, whether or not there's going to be substantial efforts to find problems with that and address those problems with state legislation, we'll see. Lawmakers come back to Springfield Tuesday. But of course, it wasn't just Mayor Johnson. It wasn't just Governor Pritzker who spoke. You also had the two Democratic leaders of the General Assembly, Illinois House Speaker Emanuel Chris Welch and Illinois Senate President Don Harmon, addressed the assembly yesterday.
It took 16 years and multiple failures to pass legislation requiring gun dealer registration. But we kept at it and we got it done. Building on that success, a recent law banning the manufacture and sale of assault weapons had a much easier path to the governor's desk. And when Speaker Welch and I were able to deliver that to Governor Pritzker, he signed it immediately. So thank you, Governor. Thank you, Speaker.
All right, let's try that. Check one, check two. A little bit of a hiccup here. All right, there we go. Okay.
So much work remains to be done, but we are heading in the right direction, and for that, I thank all of you. God bless you. Keep up the fight.
All right, a little glitch here this morning with all of my equipment. Gotta love it. I mean, just this whole span of stuff all working together. Anyways, all right, so Senate President Don Harmon laying out that, hey, they got gun dealer licensing. You had the governor saying, hey, we've got the gun ban in place, a whole host of other things. Speaker Welch also addressing the assembly yesterday, laying out what he sees as the accomplishments they've made.
We are making communities safer with hundreds of millions of dollars in funding going toward community-based violence prevention and community providers that organize after-school programs, youth summer jobs, and enriching opportunities. We are giving police and prosecutors the financial support they need to implement necessary and long overdue criminal justice reforms that were led by my friend, Southsider, chairman of the House Criminal Justice Committee, was the lead sponsor of the Illinois Safety Act and the Pretrial Fairness Act. Let's give it up again for Justin Slaughter. It wasn't easy to lead those efforts, but he knew it was the right thing to do, working in conjunction with all of you.
So, again, you heard everything from the Pretrial Fairness Act to the ongoing gun ban to a host of other spending that's going to be happening with community groups. All of this are efforts they say are going to bring about a decrease in violent crime. Have we seen that decrease with this spending and with the gun ban and whatnot? Yeah, there may have been fewer shootings in 2023, fewer homicides, but Chicago still leads the nation in big cities that have, hundreds of people killed each year. But did we hear anything about getting tough on criminals? The Pretrial Fairness Act does allow for violent criminal suspects to remain behind bars. They can't bail themselves out, but what about those repeat offenders of low-level crimes? Is that fostering the potential of more dangerous criminals? Again, a debate that we'll see continue to play out. And obviously, with the state legislature coming back, it's dominated by Democrats. They've got the supermajority of both chambers. And they've got each constitutional office, from the governor to the comptroller. So a conversation that's going to continue, no doubt, especially after just in the past week, 3 individuals outside of schools in Chicago being shot and killed. A lot of heartbreak, no question. All right, it's Bishop on Air. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and stay tuned. Was it Chris? My dial-up internet being a little hinky. Your dial-up internet's having a tough day. I don't have dial-up internet anymore. I just boosted it to the highest level I could get in my area. So I think that was more of a computer glitch. But you also listen. I mean, everybody's got issues with their internet service provider. Mine apparently loves to just flip the switch every once in a while for whatever reason, but should be going through loud and clear. So appreciate all of that for you guys hanging out and enduring some of these interesting glitches here with Bishop on Air. I know what happened. I got to do some syncing. So we'll get this fired back up. Or just do it manually. We'll do it live. We'll do it live! Fucking thing sucks! Well, this afternoon in federal courts, you've got the state's gun ban challenge in the Southern District on the merits. Federal judge moving forward with the case, while Northern District judges hold off on dealing with the merits, while plaintiffs there say they're preparing to file to the U.S. Supreme Court. Welcome back, Bishop on Air, with you each and every weekday morning here on YouTube, on Facebook, on X, on Rumble. So thank you guys for being here each and every weekday morning. But obviously, a lot of you come here to check out what's going on with the gun ban and the litigation against it. And if you look at the latest statistics from Illinois State Police, it shows that, well, they haven't updated it yet. The latest numbers were January 23rd, showing, 6,000 additional people on top of the nearly 30,000 have registered banned firearms with the state of Illinois. But all of this to say that the ongoing litigation in the Southern District expected to really kick off in full force very soon. Today at around 1:30, Judge Stephen McGlynn's going to hold a status conference with the litigants to get to the bottom of what kind of experts, what kind of witnesses, what kind of discovery they want as they move forward dealing with the merits of the case. In the Southern District, you've got several cases that are all lumped together, from the Illinois State Rifle Association and Herald to the Federal Firearms Licensees of Illinois to the Langley plaintiffs with attorney Thomas Magg and the Barnett plaintiffs. So you've got all of these plaintiffs groups that were put together in the Southern District, and they did get a preliminary injunction back in April of last year. That temporary pause of the law only lasted 6 days before the state of Illinois went to the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals and asked them to essentially prevent that injunction from being in effect, which the state Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals, the Federal Court of Appeals, granted that request. So after 6 days, where the law was on pause, the appeals court said, no, the law's back on while we deal with this. And they then had the U.S. Supreme Court asked to weigh in, but the Seventh Circuit said they're putting on a rocket docket, and then they heard that, and then 4 months later, they went ahead and ruled for the state, saying on a preliminary basis, they believe the state had a likelihood of success. And that was on cases from the Southern District and the Northern District, which had different outcomes. Northern District cases said the state's going to win. Southern District case said the plaintiffs are going to win. Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals said, we'll take all these and say that the state's likely to win. But all that was on preliminary issues, not on the merits of the case. While the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals says that the state has a likelihood of success, they did not rule on the merits. So what that means is it kicks it back down to these district courts. Again, you got cases in the Northern District and cases in the Southern District. The Northern District's judges that ruled for the state on a preliminary basis have now issued a stay, meaning they're not going to address the case in the Northern District because they say the plaintiffs want to try to get the U.S. Supreme Court to intervene. In the Southern District, Judge Stephen McGlynn took a different track. Despite plaintiffs saying they wanted to put a hold on moving forward with the merits of the case so they could try to go to the U.S. Supreme Court, Judge McGlynn said, no, we're dealing with this. We're going to deal with this in an expedited fashion. So if you recall, if you look back at the library here with Bishop on Air, you'll see that we talked about and reviewed what happened in a recent scheduling conference where the plaintiff said we want to stay. The judge is like, no, we're not doing that. We're moving forward. So don't plan on taking any vacations anytime soon. And the plaintiffs are like, well, we've got added work now. We still want to appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court, but now we're going to have to put together all of the briefs and everything and all the scheduling for experts and testimony and discovery in the Southern District. So today, 1:30, Judge Stephen McGlynn's going to have another scheduling conference to get a better idea of what's next. When are we going to have some witnesses? When are we going to have some experts? When are we going to get to the discovery? Let's have a trial. So this is going to be on the merits. Of course, there were multiple allegations that plaintiffs made against the law, from Second Amendment violations to Fifth Amendment violations to 14th Amendment violations of equal protection, and even the idea of the law being too vague. So all of that's in the mix, and all of the past year's history that we've tracked showing all of the different types of arguments that have been made, even down to the Joint Committee on Administrative Rules recently. While they did let the rules remain in place for the gun ban registry, they did put in an official objection which says that they object to the rules because they're not clear and therefore it's not right to move forward. But that didn't necessarily block the rules from the legislative body. However, that official objection could be used by litigants in the court case to say, look, even the state legislature, the legislative body, the bipartisan group here, even though it was all Republicans on that group that voted for the objection, and all Democrats that were there, they were shy one, voted against the objection, but the Republicans were all there. So they essentially eked out that objection. So the courts could use that objection in all of this conversation, but we'll be watching what happens there. No doubt about it. But you also got the interesting thing about the exempt classes. And this is something I think is rather fascinating. When you get down to it, yesterday we talked about the exempt classes of individuals includes not just police and retired police, active duty military when they're using firearms in official capacity, security guards, prison wardens, other jailers, they can have these firearms. I think I've even seen people say that people who do fingerprinting and locksmithing, I'll have to find that in the actual law, but those are some people who are exempt. As we talked yesterday about, also exempt filmmakers who have blank firing, quote, assault weapons for film purposes. They're exempt. Another group that is exempt is sports shooters. And this story coming from the Illinois Department of Natural Resources, they put out a news release yesterday about a new deal they've got. And that new deal is with the Amateur Trap Shooting Association. They say that they've come to terms on a new deal to have the ATA Grand American work at the World Shooting and Recreational Complex in Sparta through 2036. Again, through 2036. So the Department of Natural Resources Director, Natalie Phelps-Finney, says that she's thrilled. They were able to extend the contract for another decade, so that's an additional 12 years. The ATA Grand is a premier event and an important economic driver for Randolph County in southern Illinois. It's a privilege to host the Grand at the World Shooting Complex, and we look forward to continuing our strong partnership with ATA, she said. The Grand American, the news release states, is the largest and oldest shooting event of its kind, features more than 20 events, and attracts more than 5,000 competitors and spectators from across the globe annually. The event, which is first hosted by the World Shooting Complex in 2006, has an estimated economic impact of up to $30 million. All right, well, sometimes those numbers can be a little elevated and bloated, but interesting to see that put out there. So that's going to be from July 31st to August 10th. Again, July 31st to August 10th, and there's going to be 4 million targets that'll be thrown during the trap shooting event. So the World Shooting Complex, they, of course, are allowed to host these events. And the Department of Natural Resources managing that site for the state of Illinois. Designed for shooters, World Shooting and Recreational Complex in Sparta. But you may be asking yourself, are they able to bring what are considered banned assault weapons? Well, let's take a look at the Protect Illinois Communities Act. All right, pull that up. Got the law in front of us. Let's see if we can do a Control F and sports. And let's just do sport. We've got 8 instances of that. Let's pick some different areas here where it comes up. Different list of weapons that are banned. Here we go. Okay. So you've got some of the exemptions here. So beginning 90 days after the effective date of this amendatory act, so this would have been 90 days from last January. So what? You're talking like March 10th or so. A person authorized under this section to possess an assault weapon attachment, 50 caliber rifle, or 50 caliber cartridge shall possess such items only on private property, owned or immediately controlled by the person, on private property that's not open to the public with the express permission of the person who owns or immediately controls such property, while on the premise of a licensed firearm dealer or gunsmith for the purpose of lawful repair, or while engaged in the legal use of the assault weapon attachment, 50 caliber rifle, or 50 caliber cartridge at a properly licensed firing range or sport shooting competition venue. All right, so another instance here, it says those who are exempt. Let's pull that up. Exempt as provided in subsection D, E, and F, and beginning 90 days after the effective date of this mandatory act, it's unlawful to knowingly possess a large capacity ammunition feeding device. This does not apply to persons in possession of large capacity ammunition feeding devices if a person lawfully possessed that large capacity feeding device before the effective date of this mandatory act, provided that the person shall possess such devices only on private property, not explicitly open to the public, but with express permission from the person who owns the property, while on the premise of a licensed firearms dealer or gunsmith for lawful repairs, while engaged in legal use of large capacity ammunition feeding devices or firing range or sports shooting competition venue. So it actually also does specifically spell out the World Shooting Sports Recreational Complex in Sparta. So let's pull that back up here. So again, you'll see that those exempt from the law, the section does not apply or affect to any of the following. Possession of those Olympic shooters, those who are even taking part in the World Shooting and Recreational Complex at Sparta. So possession of a weapon at an event taking place in Sparta only while engaged in the legal use of the weapon or while traveling to or from the location. That's interesting. If the weapon's broken down in a non-functioning state, is not immediately accessible, or is unloaded and enclosed in a firearm case, carrying box, shipping box, or other similar portable container designed for the safe transportation of firearms. So there you have it. Another round of exemptions there for the gun and magazine ban as we continue to see the law being challenged. So here we are in the beginning of February of 2024, and bada bing, bada boom, we continue to see the law continue to be challenged. All right, so glad to get you guys that update here on a Friday. I will try to do another update for you sometime later on this evening, especially after I get done with work. I'll try to pop back in here and let you know how that hearing went with federal judge Stephen McGlynn and getting some indication as to how we move forward with the Southern District gun and magazine ban. All right, appreciate you guys hanging out. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, comment, all of that, and helps the channel, I guess, get into the algorithm. So people who want to follow what's going on in Illinois, they can follow us here with Bishop on Air. And find me anywhere. Just search Bishop on Air. All right? Appreciate it. Let's try this live Discord thing on a Friday morning. Can't spend too much time doing this, but let's see what we can make happen. See that Discord graphic? Take your phone out, open up the camera function, see if we can show you here. Take your phone out, open up the camera function, and then you put it up to the screen where I've got that QR code, and then it gives you a little link there. You hit it, you tap it, and it takes you to the Discord. All right. Then from there, you click in, you accept it, and then you'll see from there, I believe, a staging channel. which let's try to pull this up. Unmute that mic. All right, so I've got one person in the audience, and I'm going to see if I can go ahead and get them staged here. Let's see. Invite to speak. Cowboy Buckle. Can you hear me? He's got his hand up. Let's see if we can do this. Should be able to speak. Invite to speak. Let's do invite. Cowboy Buckle. You're staged, but I don't see how to get you to join. I'm working on it. Doing this the best. Okay. Why can't I get him to join? Working on this, guys. I promise we'll figure this out. Can we join without video? Yeah, I believe you can join without video. All right, so now we got Dave the Hunter in there too. Invite to server. No. User volume. Call. Profile. Invite to speak. I'm trying to invite Cowboy Buckle to speak. Let's try dragging him. Show chat. Good morning to Dog. All right. Good morning. Jay Pavilion's joining as well. Why can't I get them into the staging area? Oh, this is frustrating. Again, this is all new to me. I having been in terrestrial radio for years, it was literally just, hey, give the phone call, and then you hit a button and the person's on the air. This is a little different, but I do plan on getting used to this. All right. Why can't I get somebody? Let's see if we can get Dave the Hunter invited to speak. Are you guys getting any kind of notification that I've invited you to speak? Okay, here we go. Dave the Hunter seems to have accepted a notification and is now a speaker. Dave, can you hear me? Dave the Hunter, you are invited to speak, and it shows that you are in the staging room. Let me see if I can unmute you. It says that you're muted. I can't unmute you. All right, now it says that you're unmuted. You there, Dave? Let me do something here really quick. Unmute the site. Okay, Dave, are you with us?
Yes, sir, I am.
All right, and doesn't seem like there's too much of a delay. How you doing out there?
Doing pretty good. Getting ready to order up my breakfast.
What you doing for breakfast?
Well, after dropping one of the young'uns off at work, I decided to go hit America's Drive-In Sonic for breakfast.
All right. Well, watch them calories, Dave the Hunter. Obviously, you probably burn quite a few calories when you're out there hunting, so appreciate you chiming in. It seems to work. So what I'm going to do now, Dave, and thanks for taking part in this and testing this out, I am going to see if I can kick you off, move to audience. Okay, so I moved him to audience, and that seems to work out here. I'm going to invite Cowboy Buckle. Cowboy Buckle, I think I invited you to speak, but you may have to select something to say, yes, you want to speak. If not, then I'm going to try Warsaw Patriot. Warsaw, I just sent you an invite, so I guess you just have to accept. And it looks like you accepted. Now you have to unmute. And I will go through as well, and I'll do some cleanup on the settings here so that I can at least not have to hear the little blurps and the blups and the blips and all that. So yeah, this is what Discord looks like, by the way. We've got people loading in here. Warsaw, you're going to have to unmute yourself. Is that a Friday the 13th logo?
Everything all working out?
I think so. You're coming through. Look at that. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, you're fine.
All right. Fantastic. So I take it you had to accept my invite for you to speak?
Correct.
Okay. So, again, testing this live here on a Friday show. So I appreciate you also taking part in this. What do you got on tap for the weekend?
Not a whole lot. Just it's amazing with all the craziness going on within Chicago. It's just, I would never imagine Johnson's leadership be this poor. I mean, to a grand scale, especially our governor.
Well, yeah, and obviously we're going to have plenty of opportunity to sound off on these issues. So I think this seems to be working out just fine, and being able to bring in people to have conversations about these things. So I appreciate you taking part in that. Do you live in the Chicagoland area?
No, but I used to visit it, and it's just the Chicago I used to know like 12 years back was not like comparison today, and I'm just absolutely disgusted how it's turned itself into.
Well, I appreciate the thoughts there, and we'll definitely open it up for more of your thoughts in future programs. Appreciate that. All right, so Warsaw Patriot, I just removed him from the room. Let's just try one more here. Jay Pavilion, I'm going to send you a invite to speak if you want to speak. Now, I think one thing I'm going to have to learn here too, and maybe train the audience a bit on, is maybe using the chat function to let me know you want to speak, right? I think there's obviously a difference there. So, Jay Pavilion, you are live on the channel. What's going on?
Just want to say, everyone, like the live stream. Make sure that everybody likes it and shares Bishop on Air, because I want everybody to look up Bishop on Air. So let's do that, guys.
All right. That's, I guess, an endorsement from Jay Pavilion. Appreciate that. So, yeah, I think this is working. I think the staging area is working, and we're going to be able to do a lot more live calls here. So I'm going to move Jay Pavilion back to the audience, and thumbs up. Guys, thank you so much for letting me test this with you on a Friday as we wrap things up. So very cool. Thank you so much. I think this is going to work great, especially for those of you. A lot of you guys have said you've been on Discord for a long time with other channels. And even the public channel, it's pretty active. There's already people posting all kinds of links and stuff. I'm not going to be able to see a lot of what's there, just to let you know. But I think one thing that we could do here is we can open this up to be, we'll give you information, and then I will take your opinions. So it'll kind of be back-to-back, segment of information, segment of calls, and then move forward that way. So, again, thank you guys so much on a Friday. Letting me test this on you. And we're going to go ahead and close out of this on the Discord server. So disconnect and end. Those of you just popping in, thank you. And listen, this is only going to be available when we're live, right? It's not going to be available, at least you being able to interact with me, when we're not live. So I would encourage you, click that subscribe button, click that notification button, and we will continue to move forward and hear from you in the very near future. Have yourselves a wonderful rest of the weekend. I will try to bounce back on here later on this evening to give you an update on the Southern District of Illinois Federal Court and how that's played out. So have yourselves a great weekend. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and we'll see you back here more than likely later on today, but definitely Monday morning, all right? Have a great one, guys.